here we are on Daybreak, and in the upper right-hand corner, we have our red Zerg player from TSL, the 8-time in a row Fight Club champion himself, TSL HyuN. And his opponent in the lower left-hand corner, from Prime, a challenger who's out to the strongest start we've seen out of anyone so far. It is Byun, our blue Terran player.
All right, let's see if HyuN has an answer for, you know, the mini Marines and staggered tanks and things like that. Will he actually try an air transition rather than that Ultralisk transition? I mean, I feel like Mutiling Baneling would have done better there, but it's hard to, hard to really say. Byun obviously had the opportunity to switch gears as well if he did spy that Spire tech or something like that. So, we have a whole new game to figure out what's actually going to be better for HyuN.
Okay, well, HyuN, I would expect to do much the same thing that we've seen out of him in the past few weeks whenever he's gone up against Terran players, but on this map, he can be a little bit of aggressive. We've seen him make big roach pushes here. We actually saw him make a big failed roach push once into his opponent's natural here, so we'll see if he decides to be just as aggressive off of 2 bases or wants to continue with his normal 3-base strategy, which actually didn't work out for him last game.
All right. Yeah, I mean, he could obviously do one of the more aggressive ones because his first one faltered a bit, but I think if he goes back to the Mutiling Baneling, that's what I would prefer to see out of him this time. Obviously, he still has the option for the Roach Bus, and if he did it last week, I think he did it against Gumiho last week. Either way, if he's doing it on this map consistently, then I'm sure he's got a lot of experience with it and knows when he should and shouldn't actually, go for that big roach bust. So he's going to send that early drone scout like we usually see out of him, and he is going to go ahead and tamper with this SCV's production.
Yeah, at least for a little while, but Byun, of course, knowing that he went for command center first, has to pull a worker off the line here, and HyuN will eventually be driven away, but he may be able to get himself an SCV kill. No, the constructing SCV comes back and says, have a drill, have at you. And this drone has to get away.
Drill to the face of that poor little drone. He's got just a cute little drone face. All he wants to do is gather minerals, and instead he gets exploded inside of Byun's mineral line.
Yeah.
And now he's just blood. No one cleans that up. They just let it sit there. They're like the drone carcass until it eventually just disintegrates.
And the thing is too is clearly it's seeping through the ground here.
Yeah.
And what kind of construction policies are in place that allows for liquids to just seep through the top of the
I mean, come on. These are the Terran we're talking about here. They've been fighting the Zerg for a long time. You don't think they've got, they're preparing for Zerg blood to get on everything. So I'm sure they've got these materials specifically designed to absorb Zerg carcasses and blood. Perhaps even Protoss. Well,
but
Protoss don't really bleed as much. Protoss don't bleed as much, except for Dragoons. They had that blue goo that always came out. Yeah.
Well, HyuN actually did flip convention on its head a little bit. He went for a 3 hatchery before spawning pool build, as his spawning pool still not quite done yet. He's still going to get gas. He's still going to get that pool at a pretty quick time. But Byun picks up on this, and he knows exactly what's going on.
Yeah, and he's got his factory coming up at a pretty normal time as well, so Hellion pressure could actually be a bit more successful. That is something that Gumiho did as well. Anytime Gumiho made some Hellions and got into the drone line, he actually ended up killing double-digit workers. And whenever he was able to get a large pocket of drone kills, he would eventually move on to win the game. So if Byun actually watched those games and feels like, this is going to be a better opportunity than the last time to actually get some Hellions in there, he may just want to go full force on those Hellions before building more production facilities. Yeah, he's going to get a command center up, probably going to build 8 to 10 Hellions this time around.
Okay, so, already coming back with a tech lab, though.
I'm surprised at this.
Alrighty, Rue. Well, this tech lab doesn't take very long to produce, so he should actually be able to flip this around pretty quickly if he wants to, as the reactor is only now finishing up, and this has only got 10 seconds left. We'll see if he produces. Yeah, okay, he is going to switch him over. He's just preemptively building this for the eventual barrack switch.
All right, so he will flip back onto the reactor, drop the barracks on the tech lab. He's adding on 2 more barracks as well. Probably going to go 1 reactor, 1 other tech. Actually, no, I guess he could go 2 reactors from this point. Yeah, because he can just get stim pack and combat shields from the 1 and then not build Marauders until he needs them.
He actually needed all 100 minerals to do that too, so I wonder if this specific supply drop was actually planned.
Interesting.
I don't want to make a call that one way or another, but he was very, very supply blocked there. He needed to get out additional Hellions, and he is starting to build supply depots and, of course, another command center now.
All right, so the first 2 Hellions are out. He is making another wave, and that third command center will be done soon. I'll be interested to see if he just uses it for SCV spam and mules for a while before actually taking over some third base location. HyuN obviously does have access to Lings that can run around pretty quickly and try to take out bases as they land, but HyuN actually going for a lair at 7.5 minutes. 2 Evo chambers coming up as well. Makes me think he's going to do the +1 melee and armor as usual, but has not added on a Roach Warren yet, I believe.
No, so if I had to make a guess, I'd say we're going to see Spire here in a bit. Daybreak is a map that you can pull those off pretty well. And Byun, of course, has not put up engineering bays. He's not going to have a lot of anti-air. He's really just kind of answering greed with greed, saying, okay, if you're going to take 3 hatches before your spawning pool, then I'm not going to produce that many units. Look how many he has: 1 Marauder, 4 Marines, 6 Hellions on the ground, and that's it.
Yeah, and these Hellions do have an opportunity to get some damage in. I was actually expecting maybe even a couple more. We'll see if those next 2 will actually join up before he tries to, get in and do some damage. It looks like he is going to be a little bit too impatient for that, though. 5 Hellions coming into the third base. There's no Spine Crawler, just a couple of Queens and Lings to be able to deal with this, but all the Hellions are still alive. He can join up with some more and try to get some damage in, and right now he's just kind of got Marines and Hellions scattered all over the map. Once these other 2 Hellions join in, he could actually make a dive at the main or the natural again. Every time Gumiho managed to kill double-digit drones at this point in the game, he eventually went on to win, but Byun not seeming to favor mech as much as Gumiho did in that series.
Well, he's gathered up all 8 of his Hellions now, and he's got a pretty strong amount of Marines with stim available. But, of course, HyuN did go ahead and prepare for that. He's got the Baneling Nest coming up as well. Not quite finished, so we'll need to hold this off with nothing but Marines with just speed. Oh, another 26 Lings on the way as well.
And the Spore Crawler actually moved a little bit, just to provide coverage against any medevacs, or if there was possibly a Banshee coming along. But yeah, here are actually the 2 medevacs coming. 10 Banelings are in production. Baneling Speed has already started researching +1/+1 for the melee weapons and armor. And yeah, he is actually going to try and sneak in a different way. That was actually kind of weird. They just managed to take out that creep tumor. There's an Overlord under attack. Looks like it is going to go down. HyuN is going to be slightly supply blocked in just a moment if he doesn't replace those. Spire's coming up, but it looks like Byun's just waiting to go in. There, it actually shows his moment. He's going to move in with the Marines first and try and power down these buildings and Queens to let the Hellions get into the juicy center with all the drones.
He does kill the Spore Crawler at first, but the Banelings are starting to reinforce now, and that's not a bad pick-off. He doesn't lose too much in the way of health. He gets the Spore Crawler down, does a little damage. Coming here, going to poke at a couple of Zerglings, and then try and back out. Oh, but he gets on a little bit too far on creep, and HyuN is able to really extend those Zerglings. He gets a full surround on everything, and Byun knows everything is lost. He has to pick up and get out of there, and that's a pretty good win for HyuN. Now, HyuN has to do damage on the other side, though. Oh, really nice. Dropping down on top of the Banelings with a couple of Marauders and picking off a lot of units. Really well done.
Interesting.
But, and the Zergling, looks like Zergling Baneling attack is held back because all of these Zerglings that were produced are not workers that were made.
That's true, but they are going to come in and try and get some more damage in. It looks like a couple of Marines may have been taken out. No, those are actually still no more have been lost. He only lost the one from the initial fight and then a couple that he dropped to explode those Banelings. So HyuN's still going to run in, still trying to take out these Marines and Marauders. Can't quite get it, but actually losing a few units just for that single Marine. I saw 2 dead Zerglings and a dead Baneling there. Either way, 6 Mutalisks are in production now from HyuN, so he will be able to actually fight these medevacs a bit easier. Actually, now up to double digits.
Yeah, he's got
production.
5 more. He'll have a total of 11.
Yep. And another hatchery actually coming up for HyuN. He's going to take a 4th base, so that will actually be a 5th hatchery, as he does have a macro hatch already. Byun being a little bit more sloppy this time around, but now with the mutas out, the medevacs are going to have a harder time getting away anyway. Is he going to drop? No.
Well, he actually, if you saw, he whittled down these Banelings. They were at 11 just a second ago, down to 5 as he was dropping down on top of each of the Banelings. So that was actually kind of a cool maneuver.
Yep, it is going to cost HyuN a little bit more gas than it would cost Byun to drop, those cheap Marines right on top of him. Infestation Pit and Burrow both being researched now for HyuN so that he can eventually get some infestors moving around. Burrow is always nice for those infestors to be able to show up unannounced. And on the other side, we have Byun just cranking out tons and tons of upgrades. Sensor Tower going up soon, as well as a 4th base in production.
And these Mutalisks are actually retreating back home at the moment. Don't believe that there was a drop or anything along those lines. Now it looks like the first one is making its way out around the bottom, but HyuN's actually taking a 5th base. So we're just playing very swarm style, take the map and deflect with waves of cheap units. And thus far, it's working out all right for him. Byun still does have a very secure center, though, where he's sitting on 3 well-established bases. He even has his 4th, so he can turn it into a planetary fortress in the middle.
He just made 76 lings.
Well, it is HyuN that's playing, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah, look at the blob just above this as well. It's just going to be more lings.
There's 139. Oh, now there's another 30 coming up. There will be 185 lings. That's 92 supply, 92 and a half supply in lings.
And they'll be at +2/+2 soon. The mass banelings have begun, so Byun will have to be on the lookout for that. He doesn't actually have any vision of this happening at the moment. Has a couple of Marines walking just the perimeter of his sensor tower range.
Oh,
but yeah, Byun's going to go really, really heavy into this. He is max, so there's really not a lot of reason not to try this out, especially since he's banking all that mineral and gas count now. But, you know, he shows this smaller contingent. Byun might think, you know, that's the bulk of his forces, but actually we have, you know, 20+ more banelings and about 50+ more lings back there. This huge red blob for HyuN is going to move in as quick as it can.
Well, the reason to not try is if he doesn't trade cost efficiently here, of course, he's going to be way behind. Look at the banelings getting shot out of the back, but there's just so many there that there's still enough left over to kill the rest of the forces. That was a fantastic amount of damage done really on both sides, but it looks like the wave of units is going to be enough for HyuN. A nice hold position might grow from the SCVs to keep a lot of them alive, but there's still just so much left over that it doesn't matter. They're all dead anyway. A good attempt by Byun there, but it's not going to work out.
Yep, this is just a massive bust that that HyuN has just executed. Byun was unable to defend. He is actually going to try to drop this 5th base location of HyuN, and he's still able to defend it easily with the huge number of lings that he has. So HyuN is now up 5 mining bases to 2 over his opponent. Byun still is close to max, and I feel like he could actually just swing in again once he makes another wave of banelings.
Yeah, Byun's going to try and move out because he's thinking, all right, I held that. Now I've got to do damage at pretty much any cost. But I'm pretty sure as soon as he sees kind of the extent of the forces, especially with 8 infestors just 10 seconds away, that could be a quick end to the game.
All right, yeah, with the huge number of lings still standing, they are sitting at 2-2. Byun is at 2-2 as well, but he's only making 12 Marines at a time. These infestors, dropping a couple of key fungals, will be pretty much all HyuN needs. There's no gas right now, though, for more banelings, so he's going to have to keep harvesting for a little bit. He is rolling +3/+3 and adrenal glands for all of these lings in a pretty timely fashion. There come a big wave of 9 banelings. I'm assuming he'll get up to double digits before he's ready to attack again, though.
There was all the gas he had, but of course he's got a little bit more coming in now, and it looks like that is a high yield. Vespian guys are there as they are returning 6 at a time. Now finally going to start the gas mining on these 2 bases. If you have 5-base gas mining from a Zerg player, it's very difficult to be able to deflect them, especially with the position that Byun finds himself in where he's only now retaking his 3rd.
And HyuN, again, max, should be ready to go soon. He does have a small number of lings, but really the infestors are going to be the heroes this time around, and with adrenal glands finishing soon, these lings are going to be superstars. There's another big wave of banelings, as I expected. 25 more in production now, and yeah, this is going to be really scary. If he couldn't hold that first wave with 3 bases, it's going to be really, really difficult to hold it with only 2.
Okay, well, HyuN does have all his forces gathered up. He's not really setting up for a flank at the moment. He's kind of just going to bull rush his way through. I think he has an opportunity to go around to the 3rd once again. Nope, he's just going to go right up the gut. The siege tanks are getting in position. Byun once again setting up with pretty good position. Needs to make sure you can fire out those banelings, but as we can see, they're just not going down quick enough. And now there's just a wall of units that's being obliterated. And HyuN, once again, it's not the most cost-efficient attack, but it doesn't matter at this point because he is just going to overrun everything. And there's GG. We're all tied up 1-1.